allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to one nation under God.
The roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Directors Callan, Wilmot. Here. Rodriguez Davenant.
Here.
Bassett. Here. Bassett. Here. Horrigan. Lombardo.
Here.
Stu Mankind. Mr. Horton.
Here.
Wayne. Burr.
Here.
Baxter.
Aye.
Cushing. Zambito. May.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Black.
Here.
Bartow.
Here.
Quorum is present. Thank you.
Nominations are open for vice chairman of the board. Mr. Baxter.
Yes, I'd like to nominate, Ed,
Second.
if he's willing to take it for another year.
It's been the nominations by Mr. Baxter, seconded by Mr. Wilmot. Do we have any additional nominations? Obviously, that's a very popular position. Nominations are closed. Roll call.
Well, so you had nomination and second closed. Now you have the election of the vice chairman.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Morgan. Now, can we, want to give a little preamble, and I'd like for Paul to offer his guidance, but we're gonna have now the opportunity to bring the board up to speed on the work that Paul and his team have been doing with regard to the strategic framework. Christina Gulo is leading that charge with her associate, and quite candidly, we've made some good progress. And I think it's important for us to bring the board to speed. The one thing I want to congratulate the board on the survey for members of the board, we had all boards participate in the survey, and that speaks volume of your interest and your support. But I'm gonna let Paul introduce Christine and give you additional information as a very capable chair of the strategic framework team.
Thank you, Chairman. For those of you who don't know.
Use the mic. Use the mic.
The consultant that we're working with is Christina Gulo. Test 1, 2, 3. Thank you all for coming. Christina Gulo is leading this through the True North Consultant Group, Executive Solutions Group. And she's also working with her partner, Michelle Lee. So we met with Michelle Lee yesterday for the first time. With that being said, so far so good. So we have a pretty good stride. Christina's going to talk about this in terms of the surveys. What are we getting back in terms of culling that information? Eventually there will be an analysis. I will say with everyone, we're at the beginning of this process. So there's a kind of gel period. So we are kind of galvanizing our efforts and all getting on the same page with regard to where we're going to put our efforts and how we're going to proceed forward. Communication is a big one. That's going to be the number one thing with all parties is communication. So try to get rid of the fragmentation in terms of communication, but also, which it really isn't a problem. It's just a matter of finding the structure by which we can kind of have it more fluid, and that's happening. And so I feel good about where we are, as you said, Chairman, and I'm going to hand it over to Christina.
Christina, the show is yours now.
Oh. You're not.
We can now.
What?
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm not there in person. But I just wanted to,
Can we make it bigger?
time. Oh, yeah, Eden can.
That's not enough.
Uh-uh.
Can you hear? All right, we're good, Christina.
Okay, they're larger now. Okay, I just can't see the slides. Hold on. Now I've moved. Oh, I can see them now. Okay, is that still large enough for you?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, we're just gonna do a quick just orientation on our strategic planning process, and you can go to the next slide. And what we're just gonna walk through today is who are the strategic planning steering committee members, the steering committee role versus the board role, so that you understand that there are still approval gates to this process that the board is very much involved in. I'll show you a one-page strategic plan example of what the end product will look like. And we'll talk through the guardrails as part of this process, the strategies that you already have in motion, and then we'll just do a recap and we'll talk about next steps. And please feel free to interrupt me as we go along if you have questions in the moment. I'm sure somebody just shout them out, or Eden will let me know. Okay, the next slide is the strategic planning steering committee. This is who the committee is represents, and it's a good mix of both board and leadership. And I just want to say a shout out to Eden for really keeping us straight and helping us through this process and scheduling things for us. You're a great partner. The next slide is just roles, role versus the strategic committee role versus the board role. And you can go to the next slide. So the steering committee is really the committee that's guiding and managing the process on behalf of the board, because there are multiple meetings and things that we do in between. It's a real iterative process. But the board ultimately still sets the strategic direction and the priorities for the organization, and ultimately approves the strategic plan and any major decisions that happen within that. And so we'll walk through the gates that you'll see as part of that process. You can do the next slide. And go ahead. Okay, so here's our plan for planning, and there are phases to this process, and right now we're well underway in phase 1 and moving into phase 2 as well. Phase 1 is really about getting alignment with the strategic planning steering committee and the board, confirming our process and our timeline and our outcomes, and establishing that steering committee, which we've done. We've approved a process roadmap. We've defined our steering committee, and we're here today to really walk through with you as the board in gate 1, the strategic framing and the guardrails, and have them confirmed. So that's the goal of today. Then we'll move into phase 2, which we've already started running surveys for employees, for our customers, and also for the board. And thank you very much for participating in that. We also are reaching out to your legislative leadership, and we're probably maybe 6 surveys in on that. So anything that you can do to help facilitate that process and have them participate, that would be great.
Would you be able
Once
to,
we have all that,
excuse
yes.
me, would you be able to reach out to whichever one of us, our leadership might not have gotten back, so we know?
They don't know.
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah,
don't know?
So the surveys are anonymous.
Okay,
So we wouldn't know. But I will reach out, anybody that I haven't heard from, one-on-one, I will reach out to you and let you know if I don't have a name still at this point. And there's probably maybe about 7 that have not sent their name in, or their contact information. So after I'm done here today, I will send that information out to you.
Thank you.
But so far, when we looked at it yesterday, we had about 5 that have submitted.
And Christina, this is Paul speaking. What I did, which I thought was very helpful, you set up essentially the linkage by which one would take the survey, but us as board members are kind of ambassadors, and we can kind of facilitate our particular chairperson of our legislative body, and we can contact that person and say, hey, we'd like this to happen. If you can fill out the survey, I want to step further and actually said, can I meet with the legislative body and just introduce some of the information about the survey, why we have it, and then what is WROTB for some of the folks who are new to the legislative body, because some don't know, and even people who have been sitting on their legislative bodies don't really know what it is. So I think an in-person, if it looks like we're lagging on surveys from them, I think it's worth trying to do it face-to-face.
Yeah, I would agree. And as we talked about yesterday in our committee meeting, we understand that they don't necessarily know all the ins and outs. However, it is a great opportunity to bring them into the fold, and I think to really let them know the process that you're undertaking. And I think it just sends a great message. So for those of you that have given me your names, you'll see I always copy you on the communication that I do send to the legislative lead, so that you know that that survey went out. But yes, after today's meeting, I'll follow up with those individuals that I don't have a name yet for, and we'll keep you posted in terms of where we're at from the numbers. We do have 100% board participation, so nice job. And I see Michelle joined us here. Michelle is my business partner, and she's helping with a lot of the processes around the employee components and some of the one-on-ones that we'll talk about. So I just wanted to introduce her quick.
Good morning.
Hey, Michelle.
Good morning.
Okay, so the next gate then, once we have the surveys completed and we begin to look at the data review on that and theme that information, we'll first go through that with the strategic planning committee, and then there'll be another piece of board information. It won't be a vote or anything at this point, but we'll want to take the time to come to the full board and walk through a summary with you on that data that we have. And also, if you recall, we did an organizational assessment last year. So we will update that assessment with information that we have now to date, and we'll also provide an updated assessment review to the board as well. And we'll get into timeline on this in our next slides. Then we're going to move into the next phase and finishing up phase 3, which will be a board gate 2 and a board gate 3. So the first thing that we will want to do once we have our assessment, our data, our environmental scan, looking at some of that analysis, we'll take a pass as the strategic steering committee on some recommendations around mission, vision, and values. But we'll be bringing that information to the board to endorse and approve those recommendations, or we might have tweaks that come out of that, and we might have to go back and do a little more work on that and bring that back to you again. The second piece of it, once we have mission, vision, and values, is then we begin to look at our strategic priorities. And it's really important that we're clear on what the vision and the direction is of the organization. That's that flag on the hill of where you want to be in 3 years, 5 years, because that's what's really going to drive the strategic priorities. So we need to get clear on our mission, vision, values first. The last gate will be the final plan that's adopted, and I'll be showing you an example of what that will look like today. So there's going to be a lot of work in terms of the strategic planning steering committee in the background to be able to bring information to you, the board, and to have endorsements and the votes where necessary. Any question on board gates at this point?
Can I bring up in phase 3 here, there's a board retreat that will be associated with this. I think collectively, we should probably throw out some ideas or share ideas about where we would like that retreat to happen. I don't think it needs to happen here. I think it should happen someplace else. And if folks have ideas, that would be great.
Yeah, I agree, Paul, and I think, you know, what's fantastic is some small group work at that board retreat. So I think a space that could be conducive to that would be excellent.
The location mentioned that Jimmy Buffett song.
Jim Wilmot has volunteered to find the location for.
He already has.
I'm a big,
Got a couple of months.
I'm a big Jimmy Buffett fan. Okay, anything else on the board gate? All right. So our next slide is the timeline that we're working from, and we've built in some flexibility here. You know, originally, it'd be great if we could get a goal of by March. We have this plan in place. We have a one-pager, but we also want to make sure, and we talked about this in detail yesterday at our planning committee meeting, that we don't want to rush the process and not have one, a good product, or two, the involvement of people as we go through this. So right now, we're lagging on what we would like to see in terms of employee surveys. And we talked yesterday about what our plan is to be able to capture more people to participate in that. So we've already kind of extended the deadline of our surveys from January 30th to February 6th, I think it is. So we can make sure that we're taking the time to capture as much feedback and information as we can. So right now, we had our strategic planning steering committee meeting in December. We did a kickoff. We had another steering committee meeting yesterday. We're doing our orientation to you today. And then we're moving into a lot of capturing of this information over the months of January and February. So the board retreat that we're aiming for will hopefully be towards the end of March, or sorry, the end of February, beginning of March. But you know, more to come as we work through this process, but this is what we're targeting. And then on our next slide, you can see that then we'd be diving into mission, vision, and values with the Strategic Planning Steering Committee. When we have, where we feel like we're in a good place to bring a recommendation to the board, we will do that. Again, we're probably looking at that March timeframe, and then a draft strategic framework plan will be either later March, and if we need to, we could be doing that in the beginning of April. So you can see we've built in a contingency plan here of 4 weeks. But I think it's very safe to say that by the time we get to April, we should have a one-page strategic framework. Questions on timeline?
I got one question.
So I just, yeah.
What as far as, I saw leadership, are you planning on pulling any of the frontline staff?
well, what we talked about yesterday is I am going to attend the leadership staff meeting next week so that we can talk with the full leadership team about the importance of the employee survey, answer any questions that they have on this. Once we get the employee surveys back, depending on how many we get and what the themes are, it may be worth having some focus group time with employees if we're trying to understand more information from them. So that is kind of to be determined. And in yesterday's meeting, we also talked about what are the individual staff meetings that happen throughout the organization, and are there opportunities for either myself or Michelle or Paul or Dennis to attend those and just encourage people to participate and answer any questions they may have.
Great. And then are you doing any player database polling or focus groups from our player database?
Yeah.
Ryan,
Ryan's doing
Ryan did those and presented on those yesterday. Yeah, we have over 1,000 responses.
Awesome.
And Ryan's gonna go back and kind of slice and dice some of the data so that we can pull out 39 and under, because of course you're over 50 and over were your majority of responses. So we want to see if we can kind of look more at the data and see if our under 39s are saying anything different or similar. But we had some really good feedback. And Ryan, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that, or Paul.
Just that I can, send that information out. I had a small PowerPoint deck that I had that kind of encapsulates everything. But I can send it to the board so you guys can all see what kind of feedback we got. But as Christina said, very positive stuff. Our branding is clearly working and people are enjoying themselves here, but they do have some constructive criticism and some suggestions.
Thank you.
Very similar to what we heard when we did the organizational assessment too. Just people, the staff, how they're treated, the food, all of that is very, very positive. Okay, so on our next slide, let's look at what a strategic framework looks like. I want to show you an example, so you can go ahead and pull this up. This is for a local charter school that we worked with. And so what we really find works extremely well for everybody at all levels of the organization is to have a one-page document. Anytime I've seen the Word docs with ultimate goals, with PowerPoints and bullet points of metrics, people seem to get lost in it. So this has worked really well, and when we present to staff and managers, everybody has positive feedback about a document like this. So ultimately what we want to do is get your mission, vision, and values on this one-pager. And then what are your key result areas that you want to make sure that you're paying attention to? So these are kind of the 35,000 foot level ones. And for this charter school, it was academic excellence, operational excellence, and financial excellence. And then below, you see the goals, the rationale, and the strategies. So the goals that are listed below is what is going to move those key result areas forward. The rationale is why it's critically important, which I think becomes really helpful when you're having conversations either with legislative bodies or your staff, is what is the rationale of why this is important to where we're going. And then the last piece is your strategies, which are how you're going to get there. Typically, this one pager would be anywhere from your first year to your third year, and you may tweak it a little bit annually, but ultimately this is for your 3 to 5 year plan. Behind this is the work that happens, which you already have done some work in terms of what we're going to talk about, your existing strategies that you have in play. You already have leaders assigned to those and teams that are working on those and people who are accountable to make those strategies happen. And it would be the same behind this. And ultimately, what I think is the best thing is behind this, you have a scorecard where then the board has this document in front of you. So everybody's kind of on the same page with what we said our priorities are. And then management and leadership would be presenting in terms of a scorecard of where they are in moving these strategies forward. So this one pager document is what we're ultimately striving to get to in that March, April timeframe. Questions, feedback on the one page document?
To me, and I've said this before, this is Paul again, I believe something like this has the legibility in it to grasp, what are we dealing with as a bunch of different components or kind of things that are affecting the process. And then how do we understand the process as a type of simplified architecture? This legibility is fantastic as a graphic, as a one pager. I find it very helpful. Christina, who do you imagine this is going to? Is it just the strategic planning committee? Is it going to management as a whole? Is it going to everybody? Who would this go to? Is it just for our purposes?
I'm a big fan of this gets shared organization wide.
Okay.
And we've always done it that way. I think what's helpful on this is then you're gonna have behind your strategies, and some of this, as I said, you already do have, you have your leadership in place for some of those strategic priorities. It is wonderful for staff to understand, I'm on this particular team, and here's the strategy that my team is working on to move the organization forward. It also becomes easier with performance reviews, because now you're kind of dropping some of these goals and objectives into performance reviews. That takes time, but it is the best connection, I think, to make for staff to really hone in on not just that their purpose is about how customers are treated, but what is their purpose in relation to how they're actually moving this organization forward, corporation forward to the next chapter. I think it could be really exciting for them, and it really helps with retention.
And I think, just to add a point to that, Christina, right now it's important for this process to help the staff galvanize the worker bees and give them a reason to understand that we believe in our future and they are a part of our future. And you don't do that unless you give them some clear goals, objectives, and a path forward. And right now we're not there. And hopefully this will, this is to be an enthusiastic kind of rallying cry so that each individual in the organization knows that they can contribute to the success of the organization and how they can contribute to the success of the organization. And the key thing we've got to make sure we do is we must include each and every employee as a partner in helping to create where we're going. This is not something the management is going to do in the back room and shove it out to the employees. They are going to be actively involved with creating the strategic direction that we're going. And that's going to be important. That is why they will be in a position to better rally around it, because it's not something done to them, it's something done with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when we used this, I mean, just the conversations with the donors, that's not the same in your world there, but you do have your legislators, your advocacy, your lobbyists, like for people to really understand directionally where the organization is headed. It's just a really valuable tool for people to see. Okay. If everybody's good with that, we'll go on to the next slide. Okay, so guardrails in process. So obviously, the strategic steering committee, we have a good representation across the board where we make sure we have, our finance folks in there as well. President Brown, we have Steve Casey, but we want to make sure that we're laying eyes on, and this is what we want to ensure the board that we're also paying attention to, or we need to make sure that we're looking at this as we come up with our priorities, are things like statutory limits, the revenue volatility that we're all living in right now, labor agreements because you have unionized employees, capital constraints, your regulatory oversight, and your legislative allowances. So all of this obviously plays into what we ultimately decide is possible to do or not possible to do. All right, and then let's talk about your current strategies in motion. Good. So obviously, you already have these in motion, and I want to assure the board, and as we've been talking with leadership too, that these are things that are going to continue. And these are really items that came out of your organizational assessment as well. So these will continue to move along as we are putting this strategic framework in place. And ultimately, I'm sure that many of these you will see fall into the strategic priorities that come out of our work as well. Okay, and then I think our last slide is just kind of our role recap and next steps. So again, wanted you to know and give reassurance that the board intersects throughout this entire process, providing input at those key decision points that we talked through. That the Strategic Planning Steering Committee is responsible for incorporating your feedback, refining recommendations and bringing those back. And the strategic guardrails that we talked through are jointly owned by the steering committee, finance, audit, leadership, and the CEO to make sure that we're staying within those. And if we have divergent views, what we will do is use a majority vote with the Strategic Planning Steering Committee. And then obviously, if there's divergent views at the board level, you'll go through your normal process through chairman regarding a board vote if needed. And the steering committee, we're continuing to work on the surveys, the themes, obviously employees, customers, board, and other stakeholders. We're enhancing the previous org assessment with what we have from those updates. And then we'll begin to work on mission, vision, and values, getting to that one-page strategic framework. And I think that was the final slide. This is our information for anybody who would like to reach out to us directly. You can feel free to do that. But you'll obviously be getting communication from us on a regular basis as well. Any final questions we can answer for you?
Christina, it's not a question, I always have a comment, it seems, but the AI aspect of this is interesting, both in say what Ryan is doing with that 1,100 kind of person survey, which has a wealth of information, and you can dig into that in whatever way you want to extract information. And so we're kind of at the beginning of understanding our operation that way. So we're utilizing data as a way to synthesize and guide our kind of future forward movement. And that's happening now with what we're doing here. But I imagine, I find it hard to believe that we're not going to be doing that as we move forward as an operation. That these are things that we're going to rely on. These are tools that we're going to rely on more. And so this is a very good exercise by which we can kind of kick something like this off collectively. And we're in the infancy in this operation with regard to these kind of activities. So I'm excited by that. Yeah. And I'm also excited by the idea of how this process can align us all on the same path. And as Dennis is suggesting, that we are moving forward together. And if for some reason people don't feel like they're moving forward with it, for some reason are pushing back against it, this is a moment by which we'll be able to address it and get everyone on the path. That's the goal. And it's a great exercise. If it goes nowhere, this is still a great exercise for the corporation.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, absolutely. And it would be beyond disappointment to not to get to the end of this and not be able to utilize this going forward. I would not even consider that as an option with all the time and energy that people will put into this. But I also think it's just important to remember, and we talked about this at the committee meeting too, we have to chunk this out, so we have to think about this in the big picture. And then what are the most important things that this organization needs to do in the next, 1 to 3 years to lay the foundation for that, whatever our big kind of audacious goal is that is post 5 years out. So just because something doesn't make it initially, as a strategic priority doesn't mean that that's not the goal is that something is a future strategic priority. It just may be 36 months later because we need to do this first in order to get there.
You know, as we close out, Christina, I think it's important for staff who is here to clearly understand that you now have to put your sales hat on. And your sales hat is, first of all, you need to clearly understand where we're going and how we're going to get there. And you have to, your people are at different places in their life or in their career. Some are very positive about where we are at Batavia Downs, and some of them think we got a ways to go. And this is not force feeding them that you got to be thinking we're good, good, good. We want as real a picture as you can get, because we can't move forward if we don't know where we are. And we are in different places, but it's not going to be done by Brown. It's not going to be done by his executive team. It's going to be done by the leadership team on the street. And it's going to be done by the people that report to you every day and giving them a sense that management's going to listen to you. Management's working to take us in a direction that we really think is going to be positive for the future. And really, we'd like for you to get on board. And this is not manager talking to employee. This is person to person.
Mm-hmm.
This is person to person, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this, as we walk through this and we put these strategic initiatives together, there is no way, right, that you're, as a corporation, going to be able to get there unless you have everybody moving in that same direction and understanding the why behind it.
All right, we've got to let you go.
Okay.
Since you lumped out, and you want to come in person.
I know. Stay with the weather.
There you go. Thank you, Christina and Michelle.
All right, be safe, everybody. Have a great day.
Are we ready for the president's report?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. 2005 was a record-breaking year for us financially. I know some of the financial data for 2025 was shared by our finance staff yesterday, but I wanted to congratulate the board and staff for a tremendous year. The organization closed 2025 with record-breaking results, delivering $93 million in net win in 2025. That was a $4.7 million increase from 2024, representing growth of 5.4%. And as our colleague Sean Shiano likes to say, collectively, this was our best year ever. Did I put the right emphasis on it, Sean? Okay, good. Cash in rose from 331 million in 2024 to 345 million in 2025. And money won, vouchers redeemed, increased from 243 million to 251 million. So when we say in our advertising that people win more in 2025, they did win more at Batavia Downs. We were able to generate an additional $2.7 million with the tax reduction that we received from New York State. The tax reduction, as you know, was initiated in June of 2025. And certainly we look forward to continuing to work closely with the board and staff to continue and build on this record success. On Tuesday, Steve Casey, Mike DeGeorge, and I attended Governor Hochul's annual State of the State address and reception immediately following. It gave us the opportunity to touch base with key members of the governor's staff, key members of the state legislature. We also attended an event sponsored by Assemblywoman Carrie Warner, who is chair of the Assembly Committee on Racing and Wagering, and we attended an event sponsored by New York State Comptroller Tom DiNapoli and New York State Attorney General Letitia James. We also attended the New York Gaming Association's annual organizational meeting. And at that meeting, members of NIGA asked me to consider serving as chair of the board of directors. I was nominated by Suffolk OTB president and CEO Phil Boyle, and was elected president of the New York Gaming Association for 2026. Want to recognize our January Employee of the Month, Kathy George. We're pleased to recognize Kathy as our Employee of the Month. She has 9 years of dedicated service to the company in the hotel breakfast area. Kathy was nominated by board member Michael Horton of Steuben County. And what board member Horton saw is what so many of our customers see when they go to the breakfast area. Kathy is warm, she is friendly, she is always willing to go the extra mile to make sure that our customers have a great experience. And it seems like every day that she works, as Chairman Bassett would say, she has her sales and hospitality hat on. And just one final note that I'd like to mention. As you see here, I have a Players Club card, but it's not our Players Club. It's the Finger Lakes Players Club. And you might be wondering to yourself, why does he have a Finger Lakes Players Club card? Well, one of our customers came up to me a week ago and said, I want you to have this, because I am never going to use this again. I love coming to Batavia Downs so much because of the hospitality, because of the great food, because of the friendly employees. So I want you to have it because I don't need it. I will never be going to Finger Lakes again. So I'm going to turn this over proudly to Ryan Hasenauer. To do something with it. We hear all the time that people enjoy our experience better than a lot of the casinos in the Western New York area. So we might put something out just telling people to turn in their other Players Club cards to us. That's all I have, folks. Thank you.
Thank you. We may want to think about that advertising. Can we get the approval of previous minutes? So moved by Mr. Bombardo, second by Ms. Crystal. Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee was called to order yesterday at 1 o'clock on Wednesday, the 14th of January. Resolution 1 of 2026 was presented to authorize an agreement with Pavilion Payments for the period of February 1st, 2026 through January 31st, 2027. in amount not to exceed $165,000. Upon motion by Director Bartow, seconded by Director Morgan, a voice vote was taken and passed to bring resolution number 1 of 2026 to the full board. And I'll make the motion that we authorize this agreement with Pavilion Payments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 01-2026 be it resolved that Western Board of Directors agrees to authorize an agreement with Pavilion Payment for a period of 1 February 2026 through 31 January 2027. An amount not to exceed $165,000. Be it further resolved that an officer of Western is hereby authorized to execute an agreement that reflects the board's actions.
And again, I will make the motion that we enter that agreement.
Motion by Mr. Gordon, second by Mr. Bartow. Ready for the question? Roll call vote.
Directors Callan, Wilmot,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Dabney.
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
Horton,
Yes.
Burr,
Yes.
Baxter,
Aye.
May,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Bartow.
Yes.
Pass.
Thank you, sir. Resolution 11 of 2026 for approval of a 3% annual wage increase for non-union employees effective January 1st of 2026. Upon motion by Director Bartow, seconded by Director Baxter on a voice vote, the resolution was brought to the full board. And again, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 11 of 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 11-2026, whereas proposed non-union wage increase is fully incorporated into the 2026 operating plan. It did not alter the corporation's adopted financial projections for funding assumptions. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Western Off-Track Betting Corporation hereby approve the 3% annual wage increase for non-union employees effective 1 January 2026. Be it further resolved that the President and Chief Executive Officer and appropriate officers of the corporation are authorized and directed to take all actions necessary to implement this increase consistent with board approval and established payroll practices, and this will be retroactive to January 1st.
Thank you, sir. And once again, I will move that resolution.
Moved by Mr. Horton, second by Mr. Burr. Ready for the question? Roll call vote.
Directors Callan, Wilmot,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Dabney.
Yes.
Bassett,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
Horton,
Yes.
Burr,
Yes.
Baxter,
Aye.
May,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Bartow.
Yes.
Pass.
Thank you, sir. In addition, Mr. Cook reviewed the November 2025 CFO report with committee members. Mr. Cook discussed the results of operations for the branches as well as Batavia Downs. The corporation will distribute $35,376 in surcharge for the month of November. Mr. Cook also reviewed the regional VGM numbers for December for not only Batavia Downs, but our competitors. And upon a motion by Director Bassett, seconded by Bartow, the Finance Committee adjourned at 1:55 PM on January the 14th. That concludes our report.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. I was a stand-in for Mr. Horgan as the chair of the Personnel Committee. I call the meeting to order January 14th at 2:01. Ms. Danielle Fleming, Vice President of Human Resources, presented resolution number 07-2026 to authorize the creation of a clubhouse administrator position within the Food and Beverage Department to centralize responsibilities for the clubhouse reservations, scheduling, and related administrative functions. Upon the motion by Director May, seconded by Director Burr, a voice vote was taken and passed to bring this resolution 07-2026 to the full board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 07-2026. Be it resolved that Western Board of Directors authorizes adjustment of the organizational chart and job descriptions to reflect the changes. Be it further resolved that an officer of Western is authorized to execute and file all necessary documents to reflect the board's actions for group sales. Well, we changed to something else. It was clubhouse administrator. Group clubhouse administrator. Clubhouse administrator. 3 times the charm.
Clubhouse administrator.
Yes, sir.
Done? I make the motion. Second by Mr.
Baxter.
Mr. Baxter. Ready for the question? Roll call vote.
Directors Kell and Wilmot,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Dabney.
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
Lombardo.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Baxter.
Aye.
May.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Black. Did you abstain?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Passed.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Fleming presented resolution 082026 to authorize the creation of a human resources clerk position to assume clerical and administrative duties in support of a broader human resources function. Upon the motion by Director Byrd, seconded by Director May, a voice vote was taken and passed to bring resolution 082026 to the full board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 08-2026 REHR clerk position. Be it resolved that Western Board of Directors authorizes adjustment of the organizational chart description to reflect the changes. Be it further resolved that an officer of Western is authorized to take all appropriate actions to execute and file all necessary documents to reflect the board's actions. Motion by Dennis.
Motion by me. Second by Mr. Burr. Ready for the question? Roll call vote.
Directors Kell and Wilmot,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Dabney.
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
Oregon. Lombardo.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Burr.
Yes.
Baxter.
Aye.
May.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Barto.
Yes.
Passed.
At 2:32 p.m., a motion was made by Director May, seconded by Director Byrd to enter into executive session for the discussion of matters leading to the employment and promotion of a particular person or corporation. The executive session ended at 3:13. Also, that resolution 0922/2026 was withdrawn by President and CEO Brown upon motion by Director May and seconded by Dr. Burr. Resolution 0926 was withdrawn. At 3:20, motion was made by Director May and seconded by Director Burr to adjourn the personnel meeting, committee meeting. Advertising and promotion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Call the advertising and promotions meeting to order at 4:01 p.m. Mr. Hasenauer showed images of the upcoming hotel offers. Mr. Hasenauer reviewed the upcoming charitable sponsorships. Mr. Josh Extra, marketing events coordinator, reviewed his job duties in the department. Miss Aurora Weston, graphics and creative design manager, reviewed her job duties in the department, including her team. Mr. Ryan Hasenauer, vice president of business development, presented resolution 03-2026 to authorize the purchase of advertising space in the Daily News for the period of January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026 at a total cost not to exceed $30,000. I'll make the motion for that.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution 03-2026. Whereas staff recommends Western Board of Directors authorize the purchase of advertising in the Daily News for the period of 1 January 2026 through 31 December 2026. It'll total a cost not to exceed $30,000, whereas funding for these advertisements is included in the 2026 operating plan. Therefore, be it resolved that Western Board of Directors agrees to authorize the purchase of advertising in the Daily News for the period of 1 January 2026 through 31 December 2026. At a total cost not to exceed $30,000. Be it further resolved that an officer of Western is authorized to execute an agreement that reflects the board's actions.
Motion was made.
Second by, motion by Ms. May, second by Mr. Burr. Ready for the question? Roll call vote.
Directors Kell and Wilmot,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Dabney.
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
Lombardo.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Burr.
Yes.
Baxter.
Aye.
May,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Barto.
Mr. Hasenauer presented Resolution 04-2026 to authorize the purchase of gift cards from Cash Star Incorporated for the period of January 2026 through December 31st, 2026, at a total cost not to exceed $250,000. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution 04-2026 be it resolved that Western Board of Directors agrees to authorize the purchase of gift cards from Cash Star Incorporated for the period of 1 January 2026 to 31 December 2026 at a total cost not to exceed $250,000. Be it further resolved that an officer of Western is hereby authorized to execute an agreement that reflects the board's actions.
Motion made.
By Ms. May, second by Mr. Wilmot. Ready for the question? Roll call vote.
Directors Callen, Wilmot,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Dabney.
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
Lombardo.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Baxter.
Aye.
May.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Mr. Bartow.
Yes.
Mr. Hasenauer presented Resolution 05-2026 to authorize an agreement with the William Ryan Group to provide this service for the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, at a total cost not to exceed $16,500.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution 05-2026. Be it resolved that Western Board of Directors agrees to authorize an agreement with the William Ryan Group to provide this service for the period of 1 January 2026 through 31 December 2026. At a total cost not to exceed $16,500. Be it further resolved that an officer of Western is hereby authorized to enter an agreement that reflects the board's actions.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ms. May, second by Mr. Bartow. Ready for the question? Roll call vote.
Directors Callen, Wilmot,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Dabney.
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
Lombardo.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Burr.
Yes.
Baxter.
Aye.
May.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Mr. Bartow.
Yes.
Mr. Hasenauer presented Resolution 10-2026 to authorize an agreement with PIDJ Incorporated Company for the provision of texting services for the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026, at a total cost not to exceed $50,000.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution 10-2026, whereas Western issued a request for a proposal in accordance with Western's procurement guidelines seeking firms to provide texting services from 1 January 26 through 31 December 2026. Whereas the RFP was distributed directly to 4 firms and posted publicly. Whereas Western received 2 proposals in which PIDJ Company or .co submitted the lowest responsible proposal. Whereas PIDJ.co currently provides Western with texting services to Western's satisfaction. Be it resolved that Western Board of Directors agrees to authorize an agreement with PIDJ.co for the provision of texting services for the period of 1 January 2026 to 31 December 2026 at a total cost not to exceed $50,000. Be it further resolved that an officer of Western is hereby authorized to execute an agreement that reflects the board's actions.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ms. May, second by Mr. Burr. Ready for the question? Roll call vote.
Directors Callen, Wilmot,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Dabney.
Yes.
Bassett.
Yes.
Lombardo.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Burr.
Yes.
Baxter.
Aye.
May.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Mr. Bartow.
Yes.
Mr. Hasenauer reviewed photos and details from events including Will Holton Soulful Christmas, Polka Buzz, and New Year's Eve celebration. Mr. Hasenauer reviewed the upcoming events including taps and tastings, ZBTB, Roswell Park Meat Raffle, and the Site Fair. The motion was made by Director Rodriguez Dabney, seconded by Director Morgan. The Advertising and Promotions Committee meeting was then adjourned at 4:20 p.m.
Thank you. Board member. May. Batavia Downs operations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Batavia Downs Committee was called to order at 3:24 Wednesday, 14th. Ms. Nicole Porch provided a live racing update with the winter racing started Tuesday with another race tonight. Mr. Sean Chiano, Vice President Operation, provided a gaming floor update with several new extremely tall machines. He emphasized that 2025 was a record credit played year of B as in billion, 172,819,000, and the net play was 92,835,000, which was a 5.1% increase over 2024. Mr. Ryan Hasenhauer presented Resolution 02 of 2026 for audio, image, sound, and light. Authorized payment not to exceed $100,000.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 02-2026. Whereas a public bill bid was held on 14 April 2025 for audio systems rental and services, in which specs were provided to 3 firms and 1 responding bid proposal was received. Right at its April 2025 meeting, the Board of Western accepted the bid proposal received from Audio Images Sound and Lighting to provide such equipment and services for the 25, 26, 27 concert series, the amount not to exceed $100,000. Whereas funding for such equipment and services from Audio is included in the 2026 operating plan, therefore be it resolved that the Western Board of Directors authorizes the payment to Audio Systems Rental and Services amount not to exceed $100,000. Be it further resolved that an officer of Western is authorized to make payments that reflects the board's actions.
So move.
Second by Mr. Bombardo. Ready for the question? Roll call vote.
Directors Killen, Lamont,
Yes.
Rodriguez Dabney, Bassett,
Yes.
Bombardo,
Yes.
Horton,
Yes.
Burr,
Yes.
Baxter,
Aye.
May,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Bartow.
Yes. Thank you. A motion to enter executive session by Director Burr, second by Director Horton for the discussion of medical, financial, credit, employment history of a particular person, corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, and removal of a particular person or corporation. We went into executive session. We come out of executive session at 3:51, 3:59 p.m. Motion was made by Director Bartow, second by Director Burr, to close the Batavia Downs Operation Committee at 4 p.m. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice Chair Moore. Branch Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This morning, the Branch Operations Committee called for 9:30. First topic of business was Batavia Downs or Batavia Vets update. This being one committee that through the month of December, Batavia Vets was down $46,417, or 5.04% year to date. Through December 31st, Batavia Vets was up $272,700, or 2%. The next order of business was an Easy Bet update. Matt Snooze and Easy Bet in Dunkirk decided no longer wanted to be an Easy Bet. Final day was December 31st, and she's trying to find a replacement. There were a few other customers at Jamestown Branch when I was there. 2 of our other Easy Bets have been for sale, and they have found buyers. Robbie's in Monroe County and Dewey's third Ford Tavern in Seneca County. New owners would like to continue these events and would be willing to file out corporate paper. Third order of business, Ms. Payne updated the committee on the new hours for the ITW for winter racing. Also talk about the top 10 races for 2026, beginning with the Pegasus World Cup on January 24th. Motion by Director Bombardo, second by Director Falk. Committee adjourned at 9:36. That's
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Legal Committee, report, Ms. Dabney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I called the legal committee meeting to order at 4:26 PM yesterday, Monday, January 14th. At 4:26, a motion was made by Director Bassett, seconded by Director Morgan, to enter into executive session for the discussion regarding current litigation. The committee came out of executive session at 4:29 PM, at which point Resolution 06-2026 was presented for the annual retainer of our associate counsel at the amount of $100,000 effective January 1st, 2026.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution 06-2026. Be resolved that Western Board of Directors hereby sets the annual fee, retainer fee, for Gala Iacovangelo LLP as associate counsel at $100,000 effective January 1, 2026. Be further resolved that Officer Western is authorized to execute an agreement that reflects the board's actions.
And I will make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Dabney, second by Mr. Bombardo. Ready for the question? Roll call vote.
Directors Kell and Wilmot,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Dabney,
Yes.
Bassett,
Yes.
Bombardo,
Yes.
Fortune,
Yes.
Burr,
Yes.
Baxter,
Aye.
May,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Mr. Bartlett.
Yeah.
Mr. Kukowski, I'm so impressed that you were able to say that name. I didn't want to botch it.
Truth be told, that's why I got up. It's been a long pull of standing there. I understand that.
Upon motion by Director Morgan and seconded by Director Bassett, a voice vote was taken and passed. The legal committee adjourned then at 4:33 PM. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'd like to make a motion to go in executive session. Discussion of matters relating to the employment, promotion, and particular person of, for the corporation. And, second by Mrs. Dabney. I'd like for everybody to leave the room except the members of the committee.
So,
Is there any new business? I get a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Fast with it.
I got so I can take my time. Shit.
February
Especially if you adjourn.
25.